This is John Jackson Miller, and you're listening to the Star Wars Canon Podcast. May the Force be with you.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Haven't realized we are back to our live format. I'm very excited about this. I was able to get a hold of my internet service provider and got some extra upload speed, so I am rocking this week. So we haven't had a live show in quite a while. I'm really happy to be here doing this. I was going to go ahead and record earlier today and just upload, and then I thought, well, screw it, let's just try to do this. So here we've got a lot to talk about tonight. We have so much to talk about this week. I've got a huge list of stuff to talk about. Hey, I see some guys in the live chat already. How is it going, everybody? Hey, Richard J. How you doing, brother? For those of you who have been watching for any amount of time, you know, I've been kind of uploading videos and then, you know, releasing them without going live, and I haven't gone live in quite a while. And I'm trying to get it to where I go live every week from now on. So, and I'm also I said something to Mark Tolley from Realm of the Mist. I was on his episode of War of the Stars the other night. I said something about trying to get him and Chris Dolly and Kirsty all in an episode together. So I think I'm going to try to do that in the next couple weeks. Try to have a really nice big panel. But this week I'm not entirely sure we are going to need a whole lot of input from different people on this, because there's so much to talk about. If we had 3 or 4 people here, this is going to be a hell of an episode. So we have got so much to go through right now that it is insane. So let's just jump right into it. You know, and to start this off, I'm actually going to start it with a mailbag question. I've never done that before. I'm going to start this with a mailbag question, and it's from Kyler Knowles. Kyler Knowles sent me this mailbag question, and he said, as of right now, we have 6 confirmed Star Wars books coming out in 2019. My question is, how many more do you think we'll get? My prediction is 3 or 4. Journey 2 books. I don't know about you, but it's going to be a busy year for Star Wars. And man, he is right. That is really the main topic of this week's episode, is everything we know of so far. Well, not necessarily everything we know of, but mainly the stuff surrounding Galaxy's Edge and another little project I want to talk about here in just a few minutes. And I want to get your guys' input on it also. So the first thing we've got to talk about, and you guys know, if you guys watch the Canon Podcast, if you guys have listened for any amount of time, you know there's one novel I'm stupidly excited for. Well, there's 2. I'm stupidly excited for all of them. But my number one anticipated novel this year is Master and Apprentice. Master and Apprentice, I'm so excited for this book. And they released the synopsis for this novel finally, and the synopsis reads as such. It says, an unexpected offer threatens the bond between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan Kenobi as the 2 Jedi navigate a dangerous new planet and an uncertain future. A Jedi must be a fearless warrior, a guardian of justice, and a scholar in the ways of the Force. But perhaps a Jedi's most essential duty is to pass on what they have learned. Master Yoda trained Dooku, Dooku trained Qui-Gon, and now Qui-Gon has a Padawan of his own. But while Qui-Gon has faced all manner of threats and danger as a Jedi, nothing has ever scared him like the thought of failing his apprentice. Obi-Wan has a deep respect for his master, but struggles to understand him. Why must Qui-Gon often disregard the laws that bind the Jedi? Why is Qui-Gon drawn to ancient Jedi prophecies instead of more practical concerns? And why wasn't Obi-Wan told that Qui-Gon is considering an invitation to join the Jedi Council, knowing it would mean the end of their partnership? The simple answer scares him. Obi-Wan has failed his master. When Jedi Rael Averross, I believe is how you say his name, another former student of Dooku, requests their assistance with a political dispute, Jin and Kenobi travel to the royal court of Pajal, I guess that's how you say that, for what may be their final mission together. What should be a simple assignment quickly becomes clouded by deceit and by visions of violent disaster that take hold in Qui-Gon's mind. As Qui-Gon's faith and prophecy grows, Obi-Wan's faith in him is tested, just as a threat surfaces that will demand that master and apprentice come together as never before or be divided forever. That is the synopsis for Master and Apprentice, written by Claudia Gray. And this novel sounds insanely awesome. I am so excited for this novel. It is just absolutely, this is the one. I'm excited for Thrawn Treason. I'm excited for all this Galaxy's Edge stuff we're getting ready to talk about. But this is the one. This is the one. And I think it's the first one out of all the novels this year that come out. This novel is set for release on April 16th. I'm so excited for this novel. And, you know, Claudia Gray is, you know, you guys know how I feel about Claudia Gray. She is literally, you know, she's the queen of Star Wars canon to me. Zahn is the king, and Gray is the queen, you know. And you know, I used to refer to Claudia Gray as the Timothy Zahn of the new canon before Timothy Zahn came back in with Thrawn. So I'm so excited for this novel. And I was excited for it before I read the synopsis. And obviously this book takes place pre-Phantom Menace. This is our first full novel before Phantom Menace, which I actually just watched again today with my sister-in-law for the first time. She's never seen it, so I was showing her the first of the prequels. Oh, we got to get through the next two, and then we can get on to some of the you know, the newer stuff. But this novel sounds insanely great, you know. And I noticed, I put these show notes together, and then we went and watched Phantom Menace, and I noticed a couple things watching Phantom Menace that kind of harkens to this a little bit. You know, Obi-Wan makes the comment to Qui-Gon, you know, if you would just follow the code, you would be on the council. Well, why is Qui-Gon getting an invitation to the council, even though he doesn't follow the code? So I'm interested to see how this novel's going to go. I'm so excited for it. I mean, this is the one, man. This is what I'm living for at this point, you know? So, you know, and to see some more lore surrounding Dooku, you know, I know we're going to get Dooku at some point in this novel, because at this point, Dooku's still a Jedi. You know, see, he hasn't turned to the dark side yet, so I want to see some more of that action. It's just I'm ready for it, you know. So this sounds insanely great. I'm gonna buzz through this and as quick as I can whenever it comes in. And you know, this whole Master and Apprentice thing started with Claudia Gray's short story, Master and Apprentice, by the same title, in the From a Certain Point of View set of short stories celebrating 40 years of Star Wars. She did this little story of Qui-Gon coming to Obi-Wan as a Force ghost during A New Hope, while Luke was going back to see if he could find his aunt and uncle, you know, before he found their bodies. And it's that story. It was Qui-Gon coming to Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon realizing that Obi-Wan didn't have long left. You know, we know how that goes. That's no spoiler, obviously. But that's what it was about, you know. And it kind of went through the process of how Force Ghost materializes and stuff like that. But it focused on that relationship between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan again. And obviously it was a little different now that Obi-Wan was an older man, and he was older than Qui-Gon ever was, you know. So I'm really excited about this novel, to see the dynamic between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I'm just over the moon excited for it. But that's not the only novel we have coming out this year. It was also announced that Galaxy's Edge, the what would you guys consider it? The attraction, I guess, is that what the actual world is called in Disney World, the Star Wars world? I think it's actually called Galaxy's Edge. So you know, they're opening the park, and they're actually going to be releasing novels and comics to go along with it. Actual storylines, you know, because we know the location for Galaxy's Edge is Batuu. That's the planet. That's the planet we saw the most of, I want to say, in Thrawn alliances with Thrawn and Vader and Anakin and Thrawn, you know, stuff like that. So I'm really excited to see what we have. I mean, where it goes. So I mean, like the first thing that they have announced so far. Let me see if I can find this graphic for you here real quick. Obviously, we don't have a cover yet, so I guess it doesn't really matter, but I'll go ahead and show you this. The first novel that's coming out, it's been announced, it's Black Spire. It's going to be written by Delilah S. Dawson. For those of you that don't know, she is the one that wrote Phasma, which, you know, I wasn't a huge fan of Phasma. And I don't think it was her fault. It's just, to me, Phasma is not really that much of a compelling character. Like, I think she's so overrated. It's just, I don't know. But anyway, I'm excited to see where this novel goes, you know, because Black Spire was the main location from Thrawn alliances and whatnot. So that novel is set for September 3rd, which I believe that's going to be a journey to whatever episode 9 title is. I believe that's going to be what that is whenever they decide to release everything at once. That's a main Del Rey novel. That's not a young adult novel. That's a main Del Rey novel. So I'm excited for that one. Another one coming out. We've got several novels coming out around this Galaxy's Edge thing. We've got another one called A Crash of Fate. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. This is more of, I guess, a young adult novel. And the synopsis for this one reads, in this young adult novel, Izzy and Jules were best friends until Izzy's family abruptly left Batuu when she was 6. Now she's back, and Jules, the boy who never left, is unsure what to make of her. While on the run from vengeful smugglers and an angry pirate, the two friends will come to terms with who they are and what they mean to each other. So obviously, this is going to be one of those young adult novels, and to be honest, it kind of sounds like it's going to be along the lines. Obviously, I don't want to say obviously. I don't think it's going to be as good as Lost Stars, but it sounds like it's kind of along the same lines as the same kind of situation. So I'm really excited for that one also. And then and that one is set for let me see here, August 6th. That one is set for August 6th. But out of all these novels so far that's been announced, the one I'm second most excited for. I'm still excited for Master and Apprentice, but out of these Galaxy's Edge novels, this is the one I'm excited for, and it is called Star Wars Myths and Fables. Now, this is supposed to be, I guess, a collection of, literal legends. We had the Legends of Luke Skywalker last year. I guess this is supposed to be something along those lines that doesn't really focus around Luke Skywalker, but just look at that cover, man. Look at that freaking cover. It is a Jedi fighting a dragon. If that doesn't get your Star Wars jollies off, nothing will. Like that right there has sold this book for me. The description of this book says the book features 2 stories that take place on the remote Outer Rim world of Batuu, plus many other untold tales from the edge of the galaxy, lushly illustrated in a style that pays homage to real-world children's classics. So obviously this is going to be more for children, but it's going to be just a book of fairy tales. You know what I mean? Star Wars fairy tales. That is so cool. A Jedi fighting a dragon. Like, that has sold me on this book. I know some of the stories. I know Legends of Luke Skywalker. A lot of those stories in there really did suck. A couple of them are really good, and I feel like this is going to be along the same lines, but God, man, that cover. You cannot. I want that as a poster. I mean, I seriously want that cover as a poster. Absolutely love it. And this is an interesting one, because this next one I want to talk about, this is an interesting one, because this is also Delilah S. Dawson, who is, I guess she took to Twitter and announced that she is working on a book called the Skywalker Saga. I guess it's going to be a children's book. It's just a retelling, I guess, of episodes 1 through 8, which I guess, I don't know why they didn't wait until 9 came out, because 9 is supposed to be the end of the saga, so this isn't really the Skywalker Saga. This is part of the Skywalker Saga, but I guess it's just to catch kids up before episode 9 comes out. This is probably going to be one of those Journey 2 books, but she announced this novel through a set of tweets, and I want to read something about these tweets before I move on to some of the other news stories. But there's something interesting to be taken away from some of this, and she put out, let me see here if I can find this graphic. Here we go. So these are all of her tweets, just boom, 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 boom. So she says, the Skywalker Saga is going to be the most exquisitely bound Star Wars storybook you can imagine, with gorgeous art by Brian Rood and words by me retelling episodes 1 through 8 through the eyes of the Skywalkers themselves. We're talking space fairy tale style. Writing this book was a revelation for me as a lifelong Star Wars fan, watching the movies in order, closely and critically, on repeat, and seeing the themes, choices, words, and destinies, and here's where you really listen, of Anakin, Luke, Leia, Ben, and Rey rippled down. Y'all, I cried a lot. My darlings, there are no spoilers here. I watched the same movies you did. I don't have secret information. Inheritance doesn't have to rely on blood. Ben Solo is a product of his mother, his mentor, his grandfather. Rey is called by Luke's saber. That's enough for me. So, when I first read this, I started thinking, because this is somebody who obviously works with the story group, and maybe, she put out this, that was 3 different tweets. that she put out at different times. Just boom, wait a little while, put out the second one, put out the third one. And I feel like in that second tweet, when she mentions Rey, hang on, let me see if I can find it here again. When she's naming off the Skywalkers, Anakin, Luke, Leia, Ben, and then she says Rey ripple down. I feel like she put that tweet out and then realized, oh crap, and then she put out that third tweet, and I could be reading too far into it, but put out that third tweet, saying, my darlings, there are no spoilers here. I watched the same movies you did. I don't have secret information. She has secret information. She works at the story group. She works for Lucasfilm. She has secret information. Don't let her fool you. Do not let her fool you with that. So I'm wondering, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in one of the mailbag questions concerning Rey, but I think they're going to do something different with Rey than... I think it's going to be what they originally planned, but we'll talk about that later on. But I'm really excited for it. And on top of all this stuff, I don't have an image for this particular thing, but IDW is also releasing a Galaxy's Edge comic. More info on that as it's released. So, and the IDW comics, my stance on those. Not a huge fan of them, but they're all right. I still haven't finished my Tales from Vader's Castle because I'm a lazy sack of crap sometimes, and I can't get into them. When I saw a giant, Trojan Ewok, I couldn't handle anymore. So, but yeah, that's pretty much everything with Galaxy's Edge at this moment, man. And Kyler, you're right with your question at the beginning. It's going to be a serious year for Star Wars material, and and you got to remember, we're leading up to what needs to be and what should be and what had damn well better be the most epic Star Wars movie ever made. This needs to be the one, right? So we're leading up. This is the year. We're on the countdown now. We're ticking down. This is it. So it's going to be a crazy year, and I'm very, very excited for it. So moving on, though, we do have some more things to talk about in the world of movie news, and even world of Star Wars news, there's not a whole lot beyond that. And I'm going to leave the big one I want to talk about here in a minute. But this little story, this really isn't anything. Y'all probably already know about it. Anthony Daniels tweeted out that he has wrapped as C-3PO on episode 9. He said it was very bittersweet, but he's very excited about the product that they're making. And Kirsty and I sat down a few nights ago. Well, actually, I sat down and started The Force Awakens, and she came in and watched the second half of it with me. Well, actually, I guess she came in pretty close to the beginning. But anyway, I was thinking, and I even told Kirsty as much. One of the things, and you guys know how I feel about the new Disney films. I like the new Disney films a lot. I really do. But they don't have the same, what's the word I'm looking for? Sense of wonder that the old ones had. And maybe it's because I'm, grown up now and I'm not a kid. I don't know. But, they don't have the same sense of wonder to them, right? And, seeing C-3PO in episode 7 was one of those things that he was there kind of in the background. R2 had all of 45 seconds of screen time. And then in Force Awakens, 3PO had all of 4 minutes of screen time, if that, and R2 had all of, 2 minutes. When you go back and watch the classics, man, for me personally, when I think of classic Star Wars movies, when I think of the feel of one of the classic Star Wars films, when somebody says classic Star Wars, for some reason in my mind, the one thing that pops into my head that for some reason that's what I identify as classic Star Wars is in Empire Strikes Back. After Han's been frozen in carbonite, they're on Cloud City. Lando, Leia, Chewie, 3PO, and R2 are trying to get to the Slave One to save Han from Boba Fett, right? And you hear the bickering between 3PO and R2, and R2's actually opening doors. He got shocked the hell out of. To me, that's the roles I want to see R2 and 3PO in again. I want to see them at the forefront. You know what I mean? And we haven't seen that in Force Awakens and Last Jedi. So I'm really, really wanting to see that in Episode 9. I'm hoping to God that Anthony Daniels has just wrapped some amazing footage. I'm so stupidly ready for it. I'm hoping that JJ, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in Mailbag Questions too. How they've talked about Episode 9 is going to be the course correction for the trilogy. Course correction. I'm hoping, the one thing I'm wanting to walk out of Episode 9 is having tears in my eyes, feeling like I'm watching a classic Star Wars movie again. That's what I want. I'm hoping to God he can pull it off. So Anthony Daniels has wrapped on Episode 9, and who knows when we're going to see him again. You know, who knows? We're not. This is the end of the Skywalker Saga. Personally, I don't know if we're ever going to get a 10, 11, and 12, but who knows? You know, I don't know what they have planned. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, and this one's a little more in depth, and it's kind of interesting, really. We all know that Richard E. Grant has been cast in episode 9. Some of the comments have led me to believe, and led others to believe, that he's going to be a character that we all know and love, right? So, you know, and Chris and I talked about this on the Realm of the Mist podcast a couple weeks ago. I don't know if he actually salvaged that episode or not. I think something happened with the live stream or whatnot. But we talked a little bit about this, you know, and I'm starting to have these ideas that, you know, obviously the first thing everybody goes to for this man is Thrawn. I mean, you just look at him. He looks like he could pull off a 30 years older Thrawn. He looks like he could do it. And, you know, and he said in some of his comments that when JJ told him the role he was playing, he said his name and his world turned upside down. You know, so I don't know, you know, they've kind of backpedaled a little bit on, you know, him being a familiar character or whatnot. But some of the things that he has said recently, some of these other quotes I've got from him. Hang on here. Let me pull them up for you. He was doing an interview. I don't remember if it was for a radio show or another podcast. I don't remember what it was for. But some of these quotes are from different things, different time periods. But all of them kind of come together, you know. They all kind of link to one another. So some of his comments are this. He goes, "Oh, it's definitely worth it. If you're a Star Wars fan, and I am, then knowing what's coming in this is quite something. I absolutely understand why they're so secretive about it, because it's very exciting." He went on to say in another quote, "It's extraordinary. They don't give you a script. You have to go to a room where there are bodyguards outside, closed circuit television cameras, and it's printed on crimson pages so you can't photograph it. You have to read it in there and then leave. You're given the pages on the day that you work, and you have to sign for them and sign out for them as well. There are security guards on the set. They give you a cloak over your head because apparently they have drones going over Pinewood Studios, so they try to take photographs of what people are playing." And, you know, they went on to ask him, you know, about his character a little bit, and, you know, about being a familiar character. And he said, I thought of it like that, but the character is just mine. I don't know about the action figure or whether there will be one, but this is pretty amazing." So, one of the things I wanted to talk about with this man for a minute, and, you know, and I might be crazy. If you guys are, if you guys disagree with me, if you guys think I'm crazy, let me know. But maybe this is just the fanboy in me. I don't know. I don't know. So, here's my idea about this man, right? He says he's a huge fan. He's a Star Wars fan. I don't know if he would necessarily know who Thrawn is. You know, a lot of people who say they're fans haven't necessarily read the novels. They don't really know who Thrawn is. You know, they just watch the movies. And Thrawn has never had a mention in any of the movies. So, what is it? I mean, what are the odds? All right, go with me on this. And this is just me spitballing as a fan. This is me speculating. You know, I try not to speculate a lot, but this is something I have to speculate about. What if, you know, look at Rogue One. When we had Grand Moff Tarkin pop up in Rogue One, right? We had Guy Henry dressed as Tarkin doing the vocals with the motion capture on his face, and look at the result. Obviously, we could tell that it was a CG Peter Cushing. Obviously, right? But it worked. It worked. You know, I mean, the voice was dead on. The mannerisms were dead on. It was just that little kind of creepiness about the face, right? That kind of realism that was, you know, kind of... And then we saw the same thing with Leia, right? So we know that Lucasfilm is willing to mess with technology like this. Let me pull up his face again. Let me pull him up again so you can see what he looks like. I had this thought, and maybe I'm crazy, and maybe I'm the only one that sees it, because, I mean, I got told I was crazy thinking that, you know, a young Harrison Ford looked like Alden Ehrenreich. I see it. Apparently everybody else doesn't, but whatever. What if this man, you know, he was able to come in and do maybe the mannerisms and the voice and the actual acting of maybe a spirit ObiWan Kenobi. And, you know, with a Force ghost, it would be a little easier to do a CG kind of Alec Guinness over his face. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. But it's just... what if? what if this is how they're going to do a Spirit Obi-Wan in Episode 9? What if this is... if he walked onto set, you know, if he walked into an audition and J.J. Abrams tells him, all right, well, you're going to be playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, your world would turn upside down. Excuse my language, but your fucking world is turning upside down. That's all there is to it, right? Part of me, I don't want to rule this out. I don't want to. I mean, it's entirely possible. You know, and so what do you guys think? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think there's a possibility that this man could be playing the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi and they might do the CG face over him? You know, and with a Force ghost adding that kind of blue sheen to it, we'd be able to hide that kind of imperfection a hell of a lot better. Let me know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. And if you think I'm crazy, tell me I'm crazy. You know, so if you guys are watching on YouTube right now, comment and let me know. If you guys are listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, shoot me an email at StarWarsCanonLibrary@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. And you know, and I happened to look over at the chat board, and Stuart Lungsden just said Steven Stanton could voice Obi if he is in Episode 9. He's completely right. You are completely right, brother. He really could, because, you know, Stan Witwer voiced Darth Maul in Solo. You know, and that was a hologram. It's the same kind of thing that they would be doing with an Obi-Wan, right? So, no, you're completely right. Steven Stanton's Obi-Wan is dead on. So, let me know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. So, and that pretty much does it, man, for the news right now. There's quite a bit going on, man. You know, and as we get closer to Episode 9, there's going to be a lot more. And I'm so excited, man. I cannot wait. And like Kyler said earlier, this is going to be a huge year for Star Wars. So, let's move on to upcoming canon real quick, and then we'll get through this, and we'll start answering some of y'all's mailbag questions, and then I might go over and answer some of your live questions. So let's get through upcoming canon. This Sunday, tomorrow night, I guess you could say, we're going to be getting the next episode of Star Wars Resistance, if that is something you're into. I know not all fans are really interested in it. I'm watching it. I like it. I like it for what it is. It's not exactly what I thought it was going to be, so it's not too awful bad. But the next episode is called The First Order Occupation. First Order actually comes to the Colossus, so I'm really excited about this episode. And Wednesday, we've got 2 new comic books coming out. Hang on a second. Let me find this graphic for you, and I'll actually show you what these covers look like. We've got Star Wars issue number 61. And we've got Marvel's Age of Republic Anakin Skywalker, which is going to be coming out. These Age of Republic comics have been absolutely great so far, man. They're a lot of fun, and you know, one of them we actually saw Obi-Wan and young Anakin, kind of their first couple years of them trying to get used to each other and their relationship and whatnot. So they're absolutely great comics, but by far the best one so far has been Jango Fett. The Jango Fett comic, I've always been, hear me out, Boba Fett has always been kind of overrated to me. And Jango Fett was, you know, even lower on the totem pole than Boba, in my opinion. But this Jango Fett comic is absolutely awesome. This Jango Fett comic, you guys have got to go check out this Age of Republic Jango Fett comic. And it's essentially Jango teaching Boba how to be a bounty hunter and about reputation and what it means and how to earn reputation. And Boba earns some fucking reputation in the comic as a child, you know? So it's absolutely great. You got to go check out these comics. The Darth Maul one was great. It was a kind of a sequel comic to the 5-issue Darth Maul run that we got. So it was pre-Phantom Menace. They go back to Malachor again. So absolutely great. Definitely go check out those. I'm excited for the Anakin Skywalker comic. I'm excited for Star Wars 61. The Star Wars comic is starting to take off. You know, it's been kind of like this. Now it's on an uphill trajectory again. So I'm very, very happy for it. But what do you guys say we answer some mailbag questions? I think I've got 5 of them. I've got 5 of them lined out tonight. How do you guys get a question on the Star Wars Canon podcast? You email it to me at StarWarsCanonLibrary@gmail.com. I'll go through each week, pick a few out, and these are the ones I chose for this week. So, question number 1 this week. Let me see here, find the graphic. Oh man, I'm so rusty on doing live shows. I'm sorry, guys. Question number 1 this week comes from Ryan Shepard, and Ryan says, well, he has 2 questions. When do you think we'll start getting series of books that are going for more than Trilogy? And 2, we only have 2 ongoing Star Wars comic series at the moment. Do you think we will get another one announced? Thanks for the question, Ryan. And I'm assuming what you're asking You know, with the EU, we had a bunch of different series going on. We had, you know, the Champions of the Force is a trilogy. Champions of the Force is a novel, wasn't it? We had Thrawn trilogy. You know, we had the New Jedi Order. You know, we had the Yuuzhan Vong. You know, all these other series instead of just trilogies. And you're right, nothing has gone by trilogy yet. Thrawn is going to be the first one. I'm telling you that right now. Thrawn is going to be the first set of books that's not a trilogy, because we already know we're getting another Thrawn novel next year. We already know it's coming. Early, I guess it was about midway through last year, Timothy Zahn came out. I think he was at a Comic-Con in Canada somewhere, and said that he was commissioned to write 2 more Thrawn novels. And this is after Alliances came out. And he said one of those is going to be the story of Thrawn and Ezra at the end of Season 4 of Rebels. Now we've got Thrawn Treason coming out, which is not that story, which means we have another Thrawn novel coming. So that'll be the first one that we have an actual... And will we get one after that? I don't know. It depends. You know, that's up in the air. I have no idea. So, but it'll be the first one to break that kind of trilogy mold. I agree with you, though. We do need a series of books that isn't just a trilogy. We need a good series, you know? And I feel like they need to start pumping some novels out a little bit quicker than what they have been. You know, with the EU, it used to be... You know, it started as, let's publish these 2 books this week. All right, cool. And then it turned into, let's publish these 2 books today. Okay, cool. And then it turned into, let's publish these 60 books before lunch. That was kind of the way that the EU used to work, you know. And not necessarily, do they need to go that much with the Canon comics? No. Or with the Canon novels? No. But why not hire a bunch of people and write a book a month? Why not? You know, there's plenty of time periods and eras that people want stories from. You know what I mean? So I'm all for it. That's something I definitely think needs to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, though, beyond Thrawn. I don't know when they're actually going to sit down and do a series of, this is going to be a 9-book series. You know what I mean? So I hope it's soon. I really do. Your second question, we only have 2 ongoing Star Wars comic series at the moment. You're right. We have Star Wars and Dr. Aphra. Those are the only 2 right now. And I say it a lot. I still cannot figure out how we've had 2 Vader runs. Neither of them got past, you know, issue 25, but Phasma is like almost up to 30 now. How in the hell does that happen? I like the Aphra novel, the Aphra comic, don't get me wrong, but how in the hell does she get, you know, keep going, and Vader is just like, he hits that 25 mark, and he's hitting this, you know, the ceiling, you know, this glass ceiling. It's just, I can't figure out what it is. But anyway, we need to be getting another issue or another series, you know, announced. We've got Vader Dark Visions coming, which that might end up being an ongoing. I don't know. I haven't read anything on it. If you guys know, if you guys have seen something, let me know. I'd love to read up on that and see what that's going to be. But Vader Dark Visions, I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be limited run or if that's going to be ongoing. I know we're getting a TIE Fighter series that kind of mixes in or crosses over with the Alphabet Squadron novel. I know, I still get a bad taste in my mouth saying the title of that novel, but I know we're getting that comic series, and we're probably going to be getting another comic series announced. Probably, obviously Celebration, but I'm going to say maybe at least one. I'm going to say 2 comic series announced at Celebration. I'm going to say that much. So, and I'm hoping I'm right on that, because you're right. Those are the only 2 going right now that we have. And, you know, Vader was supposed to be ongoing. Poe Dameron was supposed to be ongoing. That made it to, like, issue 31, I think. That was kind of a weird issue to stop at. So I'm hoping this Vader Dark Visions is the next 25-issue Vader run. That's probably what it's going to be. So I hope that answers your question. What do you think, man? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I'd love to have that conversation with you guys. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Question number 2 this week comes from Frank Hines. And Frank says, I've heard you say in the past that you hope Rey is not a Skywalker. I told you guys we'd get back to this here in a minute. Knowing what we do now, with Disney trying to quote-unquote course correct the trilogy with Episode 9, where do you stand on the issue now? Love the podcast. Always look forward to new episodes. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. No, you're right. I have been a firm... I've been on a firm stance, hoping that Rey is not a Skywalker. I'm one of those people, right? And you can lynch me if you disagree with me. That's fine. That's kind of where I stand on the issue. Because, you know, everybody wants Luke to be this all-powerful messiah to the galaxy, right? And that's not what he turned out to be. I mean, kind of, but not really. Not in the way everybody wanted him to be. If you find out Rey is Luke's daughter, then that makes Luke a deadbeat dad on top of everything else that happened. You know, so, you know, and how shitty would that be for Rey? You know, to have met, or either one of them, Han or Luke. How shitty would this have been, right? Because they're both dead now. For Leia to come up and be like, oh, by the way, Rey, Han was your father. Well, that's great. Why couldn't you tell me that before? You know what I mean? And I could grieve him with you. And sure, she grieved him in her own way, but really? And then if Luke is her father, oh, well, guess what? It's too late. You don't get to talk to him anymore either because he's freaking dead too. Like, I really hope she's not a Skywalker. At least not directly. In some, like, weird pseudo kind of way, maybe. You know, like Delilah S. Dawson was talking about in her tweet, you know, about how the saber called to Rey, so that was good enough for her, about her being a Skywalker. I really hope she's not a Skywalker. But that's just me. My prediction, she's going to be a Skywalker. I'm almost dead certain. At this point, right? Because I'm one of those people, and you can lynch me if you want, and you can stop watching as soon as I say this if you want. I didn't mind Last Jedi. I liked Last Jedi, right? I can see why people didn't, but I didn't mind it. So, what they did with Rey, right? With her saying, making her nobody, I was okay with that. I didn't have a problem with that. Sure, everybody called her a Mary Sue, but Anakin was kind of a Mary Sue too. You know, or however you would say a male version of it, I guess. I don't even know what the male version of Mary Sue is. But Anakin kind of was too. Sure, they explained it that he was the, you know, but they explained it off as an immaculate birth. No, it's you. I was okay with Rey's parents being nobodies. I really was, you know, and maybe they realized something was off about her, or maybe she scared them with her Force ability, something like that. You know, like maybe she was that little girl that they left on Jakku, or maybe she was already growing up on Jakku and her parents just left her there. They didn't take her there. They were already there and they just took off without her. That's possible too. But I'm willing to bet money they're going to try to do everything they can to bring fans back after Last Jedi. And making Rey a Skywalker is going to be a step in the right direction for him. And I hope to God they don't do that. I hope they stick to their guns. And you know, and maybe they will, because, you know, Adam Driver came out, when was it? A couple weeks ago, and said that when they were filming episode 7, JJ told Adam Driver where episode 9 was going to end up. JJ had a plan. Did Rian Johnson stick to it in 8? Not necessarily, but, you know, JJ had a plan. And now that JJ is back behind the wheel, this is like, I guess you can liken this to like the X-Men films, right? Bryan Singer did X-Men 1 and 2. Great movies. And then somebody else came in and did 3 and just shot the series to hell, right? And then when they did Days of Future Past, it was Bryan Singer coming back, and he described it as putting his toys back on the shelf where they belonged, right? So that's kind of like what JJ may be doing. He may be putting his toys back on the shelf where they belong. So I'm willing to bet money she's going to end up being either Kylo's sister or some estranged daughter of Rey, or of Leia and Han, or she's going to be a daughter Luke didn't know about. Maybe, you know, they might bring Mara Jade in, which we found out George Lucas didn't even like Mara Jade, the idea of Mara Jade. I see all this happening. I really do. And you know what? I guess I'm fine with it. I'm ready for a good Star Wars movie. I'm ready for a Star Wars movie that after I walk out of the movie theater, I don't look at Facebook and just see a split fan base. I'm ready for a Star Wars movie that brings us all together for the big, epic Skywalker conclusion, right? So that's all I want. I want a good Star Wars movie. I want something that brings back that nostalgia again, like I was talking about earlier, that sense of wonder again. That's what I want, you know. Hell, go back to matte paintings. I keep saying that. Go back to matte paintings. You would be surprised how much nostalgia you would sense in a Star Wars movie if they stopped doing these CG backgrounds and did matte paintings again. You would be surprised. Just something simple like that would really go a long way. So, no, with Rey, she's going to end up being a Skywalker. I still kind of hope, I still hope she's not. I wouldn't mind, I would be more accepting of her being some kind of Kenobi. You know, I'm sure that'd be a hell of a story. If you find out in episode 9 that Rey is a Kenobi, right? You're going to walk out of 9 and go, What the shit? Are you kidding me? And then when Claudia Gray ends up writing that novel, you're going to lose your mind. You're going to lose your mind. That's going to be a bestseller novel. Bet. But anyway, no, I'm kind of on the fence at this point with Rey. So thanks for the question, though, Frank. I appreciate it. Let me know, guys. What do you guys think about Rey being a Skywalker? Have you guys stayed on that stance? Have you guys changed your stance? Let me know. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Question number 3 this week comes from Ian Potter. And Ian says, with the Super Bowl coming up this weekend, do you think we'll get anything related to Episode 9, a title or a trailer perhaps? Love to hear your thoughts, my man. All right, thanks for the question, Ian. Oh, excuse me. I've been talking for a minute without something to drink. No. Short answer, no. I don't think we're going to get anything for Super Bowl this year. And you know, I've got this theory as to why. Hear me out. Episode 9 is going to be, like I said earlier, it has to be this epic, just battle royale Star Wars movie, right? This has to be the one. This is all chips on the table, all bets off. This is the one. This is game, set, match. This is it, right? You don't get another try after this. So 9 has to be good. Look at the marketing that Disney and Marvel has done for Avengers Endgame. Everybody cried for a title. Everybody cried for a trailer, right? There were people saying, I'm going to downvote every video Marvel comes out with until we get the Avengers 4 trailer. Like, think about that, right? That marketing is working for Avengers 4. It's working, right? We should be getting a new trailer for Avengers probably tomorrow. So, I mean, think about how that's working for them. They didn't even announce the title of Avengers 4. Obviously, it leaked. Somebody guessed it. I saw Endgame as the title before it ever came out, so somebody got it. But they didn't release the title officially until the trailer dropped. They even labeled the trailer Avengers 4 trailer on YouTube, you know? So if they see that that marketing is working, and look at how that trailer turned out. Most views in 24 hours in history. If you wait to drop the title of Episode 9 until Celebration on the teaser trailer, on the first teaser trailer in April, obviously at the panel for Episode 9, right? And they might make a liar out of me, and they might announce the title tomorrow. I don't know. But this is just my thought. Announce, show the teaser trailer at the end of the Episode 9 panel. And then, boom, there's the title. That's how you announce the title. And you know something? I don't remember, before Avengers 4, I don't remember a movie doing that. At least a big franchise movie. We knew what the title of it was before the trailer ever came out. When the movie was going into production, we knew what the title was. And with Avengers, this is the first time we'd ever seen them hold the title until the trailer came out. So I would like to see that. I want to see them start doing that. That would really build up this anticipation, and that would give me 2 news stories to talk about one video instead of 2 separate videos, But when I was watching the Avengers 4 trailer, I liked sitting there going, oh my god, they're going to give us the title. They're going to give us the title. They're going to give us the title. I want that again when I see the Episode 9 trailer. So I'm over the moon excited for when they do decide to drop it, but I'm sticking to my guns, and I'm going to say Celebration. Originally, I said the title on Christmas and trailer at Celebration. I was wrong. They never announced the title, so I was wrong about that. I admit it, but I'm going to say Celebration for both of them. Same time, same place. That's where you're going to get it. Unless by some weird chance some jackhole at Lucasfilm decides that he's going to try to leak it, and Kathy Kennedy has to get on Twitter real quick and tweet it out the way she did The Force Awakens. So I'm hoping that they're getting a lot better with the secrecy thing, So I'm hoping that they can keep the cap on the bottle until Celebration. Can you imagine the energy in that room for Episode 9 when everybody sees the title for the first time all together there in one place at that point? That's going to be insane. I'm stupid excited for that. I hope to God that's what they do. And I guess we'll see. Let me know, guys. What do you think? Question number 4 this week comes from Christy Huff. And Christy says, hey, Brian, love your channel and podcast. Wish you had more followers than you do, but I'm glad you have kept it going. Thank you very much, Christy. I appreciate that. Your question says, if given the opportunity to write a Star Wars novel, What characters would you like to write? Which time period would it take place in? And what would it be about? Thanks in advance. Thanks for the question, Christy. And that's a great question. And, you know, I'm going to stick to... the one thing that I've talked about before. The one thing I want to see. And I know everybody wants to see a Luke Skywalker novel of him kicking ass, taking names, you know, and just, I mean, talking with his lightsaber. I get that. And I'm not going to discredit you for that. I would eat that up. But what I want to see in a novel, if I could write a novel, I would write the story of what happened the night Ben turned on Luke. What actually happened. And what led up to it, you know, how you know, maybe some backstory on how Luke started the temple, and, you know, some of these artifacts that he was hunting down that we kind of know about from other canon pieces and stuff. You know, like the compass in Battlefront 2. Stuff like that. I would definitely kind of focus on that a little bit. And kind of how Luke was training this new generation of Jedi. Because, you know, in the EU, when Luke was training these new Jedi, he was allowing them to have attachments, you know, and have, you know, and be in love and be married and have children, you know. He encouraged that. So I'm kind of interested in seeing and kind of telling the story of how that order was raised, how they were taught, you know, kind of what their ideology was, what their code was, their new Jedi code. Not necessarily the old one, but maybe they had a new one. Just like, you know, we're probably going to end up seeing a new version of the Jedi Order with Rey leading the charge or something. I don't know, but then tell the story of, you know, how, and you could even get some more information on Snoke in that novel, you know, see how Snoke kind of came in and started pulling strings on Kylo Ren and kind of twisting his mind a little bit the same way Palpatine did Anakin, you know, and tricking him and stuff like that. I would love to be able to tell that story, and that is a novel, you know, and I said something about Claudia Gray writing this other book about Obi-Wan a while ago. I want to see Claudia Gray write this one too. I want, you know what, if they came out and said Claudia Gray was going to write every Star Wars novel from now on, don't care, whatever. If it was Claudia Gray and Timothy Zahn, let them rip, give it to them, put them in a room and just let them type, like just let them go. But that's the novel I would want. I would want to see some adventures with Luke and Ben, maybe doing a mission or two together, and, you know, what kind of, you know, maybe some interactions between Luke and Snoke even, and actually seeing Luke and Snoke fight over Ben. That'd be cool. You know, and actually seeing that confrontation go down, seeing Luke deal with everything that happened with the Jedi Order, with his his pupils being destroyed, being killed, you know, and whatnot, and taken from him, you know, because that's the story I want. That's the one. That's it. And you know, maybe even show Luke going into hiding. You know, showing him give R2 the map. You know, well, R2 had the map, but, you know, seeing him, you know, send off a piece of the map or something. You know, how Lor San Tekka got that piece of the map that he gave to Poe Dameron. That's the story I want to see. So I hope that answers your question. That's the one, you know, and obviously that would help fill in that gap a little bit too between episodes 6 and 7 that everybody wants so bad. Everybody's clamoring to get some more stuff between 6 and 7. So, and I think once 9 comes out, we're going to be getting a lot of it. So, thank you for the question, Christy. I appreciate it. Before I move on to the 5th question, guys, I'm going to answer this question, and then I'm going to start answering some questions over in the live chat. So I'm going to probably have to go back over and scroll up a little bit and try to find some. But if you guys have any questions you want to ask, drop them in the live chat over there. I will go through it, and we'll just talk some Star Wars for a little while. You know, we're going on, what, 50 minutes right now? So we'll go a little longer. It's a Saturday night. I don't care. I don't have to work tomorrow. I'll stay up as late as I want and talk Star Wars. That's my life. So, last question of the week comes from Don Mason. And Don says, my friend and I have a bet going on. We'd like to hear your opinion as well. Since Episode 9 will be the end of the Skywalker Saga, and the standalone films haven't had opening crawls, do you think Rian Johnson's trilogy or Benioff and Weiss's films will have opening crawls? That's an excellent question. Thanks for the question, Don. And here's kind of what I see happening, right? You're right. Standalone films haven't had opening crawls. Rogue One was this like cold open that just kind of took everybody by surprise, and you know, it was an experiment. It failed. Cool. You packed that idea away and you moved on to something different with Solo. I feel like the opening for Solo was the perfect way to open a standalone film. Solo, say what you will about Solo. The way it opened, you know, where you just see the text kind of pop up, you know, and disappear, pop up again. We got a crawl, it just wasn't crawling. You know what I mean? It was the 3-paragraph crawl, it just wasn't crawling. And I think that was a great way to do it. And, you know, and then how we got the title, you know, for Solo Star Wars Story. I feel like the crawl is this, like, special thing for the Skywalker Saga. And I said earlier I was going to come back and talk about kind of my thoughts on 10, 11, and 12 if we'll ever get them. 9 is the end of the Skywalker Saga. Every episodic film we've had so far, episodic film, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, and 9 when it comes out, they're all Skywalker films. They're Skywalker Saga. You can watch those films without watching Rogue One or Solo, and it makes sense. You can watch the standalone films without watching a Skywalker Saga. The Skywalker Saga is the story of the Skywalkers. And if this is the final story of it, of the Skywalker Saga, I feel like there's a possibility, and go with me on this, I feel like there's a possibility that if, you know, we get a, you know, let's say Benioff and Weiss come out and do Old Republic, which I think we're all pretty much on the same boat that they are going to end up doing Old Republic. Let's say that they do. Would they, and I still think they're doing 4 or more movies. They said series. They didn't say trilogy. They said series, which to me is 4 or more. If they're doing 4 movies or more, let's just say for the sake of argument 4, why not start with, you know, Star Wars Episode 1, different title, you know, Star Wars Episode 1, The Old Republic, or something like that, you know what I mean? Then you've got these different episodic sagas. You've got more than one saga. You've got the Skywalker Saga, then you've got the Old Republic Saga, and then you've got the Rian Johnson Saga, whatever that's going to end up being, because whether you like it or not, it's still happening. You know, that's, each one could be their own sagas, you know, so why couldn't you have more than one episode 1? Why couldn't you have more than one episode 2? Why not? You know, or, you know, they're probably going to end up going, if that's the route they go, they're probably going to go back and retitle, you know, Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. That's a mouthful. That is a mouthful. But it's possible. It's Disney we're talking about here, you know what I mean? So I don't necessarily think they're going to have opening crawls, which, think about it for a second. If in our future Star Wars movies don't have an opening crawl at all, none, nothing, this December could possibly be the last time we ever go to a Star Wars movie. You guys know where I'm going with this. And you see A Long Time Ago in a Galaxy Far, Far Away fade out. You know, so this could be the last time. Think about that for just a moment. Just entertain that idea for a second. And it's depressing, you know, like it makes me hope to God we do get an opening crawl, but I don't know if we're ever going to. So it's a great question, man. It really is. And definitely something worth pondering. So thanks for sending in the question, brother. I appreciate it. I'm going to go over to the live chat now. Let me pull my YouTube dashboard over here to this monitor so I can actually see it, because I got a bigger TV over there and the resolution's all off on it. So let me see here. Let me scroll up a little bit. And let's see what y'all are talking about here. Richard J. Let's see here. He says, I think they'll stick with the Solo opening. I called you after I saw the film, and that was the only bit of spoiler info I gave you. That's true. Jay got to see Solo, A Star Wars Story, before I did. He lives in Wales. He got to see it before I did. And he Skyped me the night before we were going to go see it. You saw it the day before I did. And he'd seen it already, and he was telling me about it. He told me I was going to lose my mind over this certain cameo. But he didn't spoil anything, but he did tell me how it opened. And I was all right with that. That wasn't really a spoiler. And to be honest, by the time I was sat down in the movie seat or in the theater seat and, you know, had my attention on the screen, I'd already put everything else out of my head. I was just there to watch the movie. So when it opened, I was like, oh yeah, this is perfect. This is great. So no, you're right. You didn't spoil it for me. But yeah, it's absolutely great. Rob Burns says The Last Skywalker. I'm wondering. See, here's the thing. Because, by the way, how's it going, brother? I didn't even dawn on me till just now that it was you. How's it going, man? Buddy of mine back in Ohio. So The Last Skywalker. Right now, the only Skywalker that has been confirmed that we know of is Ben Solo. He's still of the Skywalker lineage. If this is the end of the Skywalker saga, how do you go on without a Skywalker? You know what I mean? So that tells me, I'm going to say Kylo Ren's going to bite it. And I'm wondering if they end up making Rey a Skywalker, which they're probably gonna, maybe she bites it too. Because because they said in The Last Jedi, as one got more, as Kylo got more powerful, Rey got more powerful. They stayed balanced, right? That's balance to the Force. You can't have powerful light without powerful dark. You can't have powerful dark without powerful light. So it's one of those things you have to have both sides. So if one bites it, do they both bite it? Like, I mean, what other Skywalker is left? We know Leia's probably going to bite it in this movie. Not to be callous or anything, but we already know Leia's probably on her way out the door, so I don't know. When we go, how does episode 9 end? What's the state of the galaxy at the end of episode 9? Where do we go from there? So it's a legitimate question, man. I don't know. Richard J says, no, episode 9 in 2029. I wouldn't say you're crazy. I'm not going to say you're crazy. Because, I mean, we've got the Rian Johnson trilogy and we got the Benioff and Weiss films coming, which if that's 4 or more, let's just say it is 4 or more. That's 7 Star Wars films coming between 2020 and 2029. I don't think we're getting a film next year. We'd have heard something by now. Unless by some weird chance at Celebration, they come out and say, by the way, we have been on production of an ObiWan movie and nobody knew about it. Like, that's how you win people back to Star Wars, right? They would have to announce something like that, and I don't think they're going to. As of now, we're not getting a film in 2020. We're just not going to, So nothing has been announced at this point, and at this point, I think it's too late to announce anything for 2020. Jay says 20 or 30 years. Yeah, we could. It's going to be a while if we ever see an episode 10. And right now, I'm not putting any money on ever seeing an episode 10. But if we do, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a long while. Bob Iger came out and said they're going to start slowing production down on Star Wars content. He said, one film, one animated series, or one TV show at a time. Which he's not really telling the truth, because now we're going to have The Mandalorian Season 2. It's getting renewed for Season 2. Mandalorian Season 2 is going to be in production. The Cassian Andor series from Rogue One is going to be in production. We're going to have 7 Star Wars movies in probably 7 years. 2021 may be the first one. 2022 possibly. So, I mean, it's going to be a while before we get an episode 10, if we get an episode 10. And the only way that's not going to happen, the only way we're not going to have to wait half a generation for it, is if they go to more than one film a year, which is not a good idea at this point. It's not a good idea at this point. You need to win the fans back before you start doing 2 movies a year. Let's see here. Emperor Trajan. I think I said that right. Trajan? If they made an old Republic movie, they'll need some opening text because a lot of people would be super confused. You're right. That's true. It would have to be something along the lines of what they did in Knights of the Old Republic, 5,000 years before the rise of the Galactic Empire. You have to put some kind of reference in. You're right. There has to be something. It has to be able to reference somehow. You're right. Rob Burns, good bro. Nice to see you. You too, brother. Jay says, sorry, I dropped my phone. 20, 30 years from now, episode 10, Kylo is reigning supreme. Fingers crossed. I'm still going to say Kylo's going to bite it. If Kylo is still alive at the end of episode 9 and he's still evil, then yeah, there's going to be an episode 10. I'll say that right now. There will be an episode 10 if Kylo is alive by the end of 9 and still evil. If he hasn't been redeemed, there's going to be an episode 10. I agree with you on that. And yeah, you're right. It'll probably be 20, 30 years, and he's going to look like Snoke. Rob Burns says, I want to talk about Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu. I think he was wrong for the role. Oh, you know what? Who else was in for that role? I don't remember who else it was. Somebody else was in for that role. And I think they went with Sam Jackson. But let me know, man. Why did you think he was wrong for it? I just watched episode 1 again with Shelby, Kirsty's sister, again today before we came in here and started getting all the graphics put together for this. And, she even said, Samuel L. Jackson? Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson. So, let me know, man. Let me know why. Let's see here. Richard J says, episode 9 should end with Rey on Octu with a few trainees. Ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. There should be a Mortis arc, stone mural on the wall. Luke is balanced, Leia is light, and Kylo is dark, or dark is absent. Man, you know what? Ahch-To would be a good place. You know, and you know, it was already a Jedi Temple at one point. So why couldn't it be a Jedi Temple again? You know, when you look at that island, it just looks like this giant jagged rock coming out. But there's a lot of surface area you can really train on that thing. You know what I mean? It's possible. I'm not going to say you're crazy. And, you know, and they've got to touch on this Mortis thing at some point. They've got to. That was there was only like 2 or 3 arcs. I think there were 3 arcs, story arcs, in Clone Wars that I really, really found compelling, that I cared about, that Kirsty hasn't seen all the Clone Wars, but these 3 arcs are the ones that I showed her. The first one is the Mortis episodes, that trilogy of episodes. Great, great content there. Deepens the lore. That's what we need in Star Wars. The Onderon 5 episode arc with Saw Gerrera and his sister, how she died, you know, whatnot. Showed Kirsty that one. And then the Yoda-centric stuff at the end. The Lost missions. The last like 3 or 4 episodes where Yoda is going around trying to learn to become one with the Force. You know, keep to retain his individuality after death. And those were great, you know, and those were the episodes that gave us Darth Bane as canon. Not necessarily his books, figures, but at least the character as canon, you know. Those absolutely great episodes. So the Mortis, though, my favorite out of those 3 arcs. My favorite. And they really, really did deepen the lore a lot. And then at the end of it, they, I guess, wrote it off that it never happened. It was all just a hallucination. There was a lot to that, you know. If you guys have not seen Clone Wars, if somebody's watching this who hasn't seen Clone Wars, go on Netflix. Look up which episodes are the Mortis trilogy, the Onderon 5 episode run, and the Yoda-centric stuff. Go look them up. That's all you really need to watch for Clone Wars. You need to watch all of Clone Wars. Don't get me wrong. I just stabbed myself in the lip. Did you guys see that? Don't get me wrong. You need to watch all of it. But that's the essential viewing stuff. So, yeah, no, the Mortis stuff has to happen. Let's see here, Robbins. I think he brought too much, quote-unquote, arrogant badass to the role of a Jedi. Yeah, I agree with you a little bit there. You know, it's playing devil's advocate, though. I'm not disagreeing with you. Playing devil's advocate, we did have several different types of Jedi. You know, we had the badass Jedi. We had the wise and humble Jedi. Remember, you know, there was a Jedi, and his name is slipping my mind right now. The kind of elderly alien from Clone Wars that helped Ahsoka when she got her lightsaber stolen. You know, you've got these slow, wise Jedi. You've got, you know, there's all these different types of Jedi. You've got Anakin, who's this, you know, reckless Jedi. You've got Obi-Wan, who's the lucky Jedi. You know, it kind of would make sense to have an arrogant badass, but Yoda does call him on it. If you think about Episode 2, Yoda calls Mace Windu out on that. I don't know if people caught on to that or not. And, you know, when Obi-Wan, Yoda and Mace Windu are talking in the hallway of the Jedi Temple about how Anakin is believing himself to be, you know, more powerful, and he's getting, well, arrogant, you know, and Yoda says that's a flaw more and more common among Jedi, even the older, more experienced ones. And he gives Mace Windu this look. And Mace Windu gives him a look back like, just squinty, like, all right, I'm going to pretend like you didn't say that. At least they acknowledged it, you know? So I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not disagreeing with you. No, you're right. He did kind of bring that. But I did like the badass part of it. You know, did his saber have to be purple? Not necessarily. He had to be different, but I think he was all right. Emperor Trajan, I think I'm saying that right. Do you think Coruscant will ever appear in a movie again? I'm hoping we get Coruscant in Episode 9. Because supposedly Episode 9 is supposed to bring together all 3 trilogies. It's supposed to link all 9 episodes. You're supposed to see references back to Episodes 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You're supposed to see all of it. So hopefully, I hope we see Coruscant again. And, you know, I don't necessarily want to see them make that the seat of government, like it was in the Old Republic and with the Empire, but you know, in the new canon with the New Republic, they were moving the seat of the government, you know, the capital several times, and it just happened to be on Hazian Prime when Starkiller was like, right? So Yeah, I'd love to see Coruscant again. And you know, we saw Coruscant in Rogue One. I mean, it was just a little bit of a glimpse when Galen, it was that flashback, you know, with Galen and Krennic being in the apartment. That was a flashback to a scene in Catalyst, and that was on Coruscant. So I think we'll see it again. You have not seen the last of Coruscant, and you know, I'm almost willing to bet money we'll see it in Episode 9. Jay says, don't forget to scroll up to the top and go through the last hour of questions. I don't even know if my chat goes back that far, but I'll do that here in a minute. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. I don't know how to pronounce. It's AAMJ00. Amj 00. Sorry, bud, if I'm butchering that. The Darth Maul Mando arc is great as well. You're right. That's a really good one. And I think we just had an earthquake. I think I just had an earthquake here. That's kind of weird. We had a good one a couple weeks ago. But anyway, no, that Darth Maul Mando arc is actually really, really good with Death Watch. And you know, they focused a lot on that in the Son of Dathomir comic, which they've now put under the Marvel banner, which is great. Which I'm wondering, you know, Season 7 of Clone Wars is coming. We're going to get more Maul. We're going to get that story of where the title, you know, why Maul calls Ahsoka Lady Tano and Rebels. You know, we're going to see why. So I'm so excited for that. Rob Burns says, definitely got to watch Clone Wars. You do, but if you watch it, you got to watch it chronologically. Otherwise, it makes not a lick of sense. Go online. You got to find the chronological list of episodes, and it's way better when you watch them in that order. Let's see here. Jay, Quinlan Voss was the assassin. Brett, the Hitman Heart Jedi. Oh, no, yeah, he was the kind of assassin Jedi. He's the one that you're talking about Dark Disciple. That was the Jedi that the Jedi Council, when they finally decided to dip their toes into the assassination waters, Quinlan Voss was the Jedi they sent to assassinate Count Dooku. You know, so yeah, no, you're right. And he was willing to do it. He was like, let me at him, bro. Like that's just the way. Let's see here. Rob Burns talking about Mace Windu, right? Example scene when he met Anakin for the first time. Heavy sigh. All right, bring him in. Like he was put off by it. No, you're right. And I don't think it was just Mace Windu that was put off by that. Also, I think they were just fed up with Qui-Gon going against what they were saying all the time. You know, and I don't think necessarily that. I think Qui-Gon was one of just a few Jedi that believed in that prophecy. I don't think very many Jedi believed in it, and the people that did, I think they were looked at as kind of crazy. So you're right. No, when he's just like, bring him before us, then like, there's no point in arguing. You know, like, oh, okay, yeah, go ahead and bring him in, whatever. So I think that's kind of the way. You're right. He was put off by it, and I think Yoda was too. You know, and I think even at that point they'd already decided they weren't going to train him. You know, and he's like, bring him before us, then let's just get this over with, so I can tell you no, because he passed the trial. You know, even though Anakin, you know, displayed fear in front of the Jedi Council, they said no, he won't be trained. I think they already had their minds made up before Anakin ever stepped into the room. So, no, that's a great example though. Let's see here. Ethan Dupps, what's up, brother? How you doing? I would like to see Rey with trainees at the beginning of Episode 9 on Octo 2, then the final battle between the Resistance and the First Order on Octo 2, with ships sinking in the waters as they fall. Holy crap. Holy crap. A Waterworld Jakku. That would be insane. You know, and you're right, that would be absolutely cool. And it'd be one of those things where it would kind of mirror itself, right? Like, you see the Star Destroyer in Return of the Jedi going in, the Super Star Destroyer, going into the Death Star 2, you know, and Battlefront, in the game, the Battlefront 2 campaign, you see the Battle of Jakku. Even in, you know, Empire's End, you read about the Battle of Jakku, all these ships coming down, just crashing. I'd love to see a new version of that on Octo 2. That'd be freaking insanely cool. Ethan Dupps goes on to say, Rey dies at the end, going out a hero, killing Kylo while protecting her trainees. Those trainees will go on to be a beacon of hope for the galaxy. No, I'm with you on that. I think if Rey kills Kylo, Kylo's going to kill Rey. I think they kill each other. I think that's going to end up being... I agree with you on that. Jay says, can't wait to see Siege of Mandalore. I was at Celebration 2016 when Ashley Eckstein broke down in tears after being told the plans for Ahsoka. No, that's going to be an awesome storyline. And Dave Filoni already kind of hinted at it a little bit and kind of gave us a few details, you know, about some stuff he wanted to do in it. You know, and one of those ideas was this giant long-legged wolf. You know, he wanted... Because we got to talk about Clone Wars for a minute if we're going to talk about this story. I get asked quite a bit, and you guys have probably seen my answer on this quite a bit. How is Season 7 of Clone Wars going to end when it comes out this fall? Is it going to end with Anakin and Obi-Wan going off to save the Chancellor at the beginning of episode 3? Or is that going to happen midway through this season, which I think is going to happen. I think it's going to happen midway through the season, and then we're going to see Order 66 again, but from Ahsoka's point of view and the clones' point of view on Mandalore. I see that happening because Dave Filoni made it very clear that he has details laid out about this story. You know, this giant wolf shows up and helps Ahsoka escape the clones, and they run into the forest, and, you know, Ahsoka jumps off the wolf, and the wolf is standing there, and the clones run in looking for Ahsoka, and they're running between the wolf legs, and they just think they're giant trees, and they look up, and this wolf comes out and just starts ripping everybody apart. People are screaming. You guys got to go look up this video. It's awesome the way he describes it, and it's hilarious, and I'm hoping to God that's what we see. I want to see Season 7 of Clone Wars end with Order 66, and see why, and we'll see what happened to Rex, you know, and the other clones that had taken out their inhibitor chips. And I want to see their reaction to their brothers turning on the Jedi. I think it'd be heartbreaking. And that's the biggest thing that's one of the biggest things you got to focus on with Star Wars is emotion. If you can portray that emotion, if you can get somebody to go, "Oh my God, you've done your job. You've done it." So, no, I cannot wait to see that storyline, and the fact that they're bringing Ahsoka back tells me that's going to happen. We're going to see the Siege of Mandalore. We're going to see why Maul refers to Ahsoka as Lady Tano. I'm so excited. Jay says he's got the chronological list of Clone Wars, and he will send it to me, and I will send it to you, Rob. I know Rob has watched Clone Wars. I'm pretty sure, Rob, you and I have had nights where we stayed up playing pool all night, smoking cigarettes, you know, drinking beer, talking about Clone Wars, talking about all these other things. I miss those chats, man. They were always so deep. But we talked about Star Wars quite a bit, you know, and I remember you saying Clone Wars was something you really, really got into, you know, and the story of Ahsoka and whatnot. I don't even remember if I ever asked you if you'd watched it in chronological order, now that I think about it. I don't even know if I knew at that point. But let's see here. Ethan Dupp says, could there be a Clone Wars Season 8 where it tells the story of certain Jedi being hunted down after Order 66? I could see it. I really could, and I hope so. I hope, look, we keep talking about Clone Wars Season 7 like it's the final season, because they're marketing it as a war left unfinished. Doesn't mean they're finishing it. It just means we're getting another season, right? So it's possible we could get Season 7, 8, 9, 10. Probably not. 7's probably going to be the end. But we can't assume that. We can't just run with that, you know? So it's possible that we do indeed get a Season 8 of Clone Wars. That's a very successful television series. Why wouldn't you keep it going? Granted, all of it has to happen in just a short period of time, right? 2 or 3 years between episodes 2 and 3. It's kind of restricted to that, right? So I wouldn't mind seeing it though. I want to see, you know, all these little standalone episodes of what happened with the Jedi after Order 66, which we've seen several of them already. You know, in the Vader run, him hunting down some Jedi. We've seen what happened to a lot of Jedi, so. Let's see here. Jay says, fingers crossed it gets greenlit if the demand is there and Season 7 does well. Oh, Season 7 is going to do well. I'm willing to bet a lot of money on that right now. Season 7 is going to do great. And I think we're all assuming it's going to be on the Disney Plus streaming service when it comes out this fall. I think we can safely assume 7 is going to just explode. It's going to explode. And the thing is, if they're doing Season 8, they already know they're doing Season 8. And they're probably already recording vocals for it. So hopefully if they are, we're going to hear something very, very soon. Rob says, always, I've watched it many times and always in order. Right on, brother. That's the only way to do it. So Jay said earlier I needed to go back up and go past some of these, go for the last hour. Yeah, I can go all the way back to the top. I'll be dang. Last time we did a live stream, it wouldn't let me. So let's see here. Go back here and let's see here. Stuart Lungsden says, I look forward to Queen's Shadow the most. That's another novel coming out this fall, or this spring. I'm really looking forward to that one. Actually, that one comes out before Master and Apprentice. That one comes out next month. That's going to be the story of Padme after episode 1, you know, leaving the royalty part of her life behind and becoming a senator, being asked to stay on as a senator, and you know, trying to get out from underneath the Queen's shadow, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's going to be a good one. I'm really excited about that one. Jay says, slightly off topic, Mandalorian. Oh, yeah, let's talk some Mandalorian, bud. Anyone know if the Mando is searching for a bounty? It's set after Return of the Jedi, not too long after. I'm hoping we grow to love him in season 1 and then find out. No, you know what? It's possible he could be after somebody. I don't know if he's going to be a bounty hunter, though. I wouldn't be surprised if there are bounty hunters after him. So, because we already know we're getting IG-88, and there were reports of Bosk on set. So that's possible. You know what I mean? I'm so ready for the Mandalorian. It's just stupid. There's to be honest, like, you guys have heard me all night sit here and talk about how excited I am about episode 9. I am more excited about the Mandalorian because it's something new. We've never seen a live action Star Wars television show before. And that's something I really, really want to see for the first time, and I'm really excited for it. Jay says in season 2 that he is after a Jedi, talking about the Mandalorian still. At the end of season 3, we find out it's Ezra. The voice actor who plays Ezra looks almost identical to Ezra. Showdown between Ezra and Mandalorian. We're going to see Ezra again. No, but but do you think it's something we would see in a live action show? Because, I mean, you're looking at, obviously it's the same audience, but it's a different demographic. If we had children watching, Rebels, I mean, hell, you might be right. He might pop up in a Mandalorian. I'd be totally for that. Let's see here. Jay says, Stella moved by Disney and Lucasfilm, make a park, and then publish novels around it. That's awesome. I've never been to Disney World. I'm going to Disney World next year. I'm saving up vacation. I'm going. I want to go to this thing, and I saw a diagram on Facebook not too long ago. It was a picture of all of Disney World, and then you had the Star Wars section off to the side, and it said Galaxy's Edge labeled, and then the rest of it said waiting in line for Galaxy's Edge. Nobody cares about the rest of Disney World. They just want to go to Galaxy's Edge. That's going to be me, man. I'm expensive. I cannot wait. Let's see here. Jay goes on to say it's an awfully expensive and in-depth for a cash grab. It really is. I don't know. Because, let's see, the comment before that was Emperor Trajan saying it's a cash grab, but I won't complain about more Star Wars content. Technically, everything Star Wars coming out is a cash grab. Technically, every single piece of merchandise ever created with a Lucasfilm logo on it was a cash grab. Technically. Let's see here. He goes on to say, hopefully eventually we get some actual book series like in the old EU. I'm with you on that, man. I really hope we do. And because you can really delve into some character development and story development and actually, universe building if you have like a 9-book series. But don't give different books to different authors. Give it to one author. Have him sit down, come up with this giant, idea and A to B. Let him get there, So I would love to see something like that. Let's see here. The Droid Puppeteer is wrapped up filming as well for episode 9. You're right. I don't remember what his name is, though. I think it was Kevin something. I'm sorry, man. If he happens to be watching this, I'm sorry I don't remember your name. But I think, yeah, the puppeteer behind BB-8, when he wasn't an actual robot, an actual ball rolling, yeah, he's wrapped also. So I'm thinking the droids are pretty much done for 9. Let's go back down here and see if there's anything new. Oh, yeah, here we go. Rob Burns says, I'm going to watch it again soon. I'm finishing episode 2 tonight. So, oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, you know what? That's one thing I've never done is actually sat down and watched episodes 1, 2, all of Clone Wars, 3, Solo, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I haven't done that yet. I need to do that again. I really need to do it because that sounds like it would be a blast to do. Ethan Dupp says, I'd like to see Claudia Gray write a novel between 6 and 7 about Ahsoka training Luke and what exactly she taught him. That is a great idea. That is something we need to see Ahsoka again. And I just want to see Ahsoka and Luke together. Those two have to come face to face at some point. They're the only 2 Jedi in the galaxy at the end of Return of the Jedi. They have to come face to face at some point. They have to. They have to know about each other. Especially if Ahsoka knows about the rebellion fighting at Endor. And, hell, maybe they met before, or maybe they met between 5 and 6 somewhere. I don't know. So, yeah, I definitely want to see these two come face to face. AimJ00, do you think Jedi Fallen Order will include the Ghost Crew in any way? I don't think so. For those of you that don't know, Jedi Fallen Order is the video game EA is producing that's supposed to be coming out this fall, which we still haven't seen anything on. I don't know. We don't know anything about Jedi Fallen Order at this point. Not a damn thing. Nothing. I hope. I'm always ready to see the Ghost Crew. That's one set of, you guys know I collect Black Series figures. That's one set that I'm hoping to get all of. Right now, the only ones I'm missing are Ezra, Chopper, and they haven't made Zeb yet. But as soon as they make Zeb, I want the whole Rebels crew. Yeah, no, I hope they pop up in there. I guess it would kind of make sense. Richard J says, just sent you a large list of the TV and movie order to your Facebook to pass to Rob. Right on, I'll pass that on. Ethan Depp says, I just had this thought. If Krell had made it to Dooku, he probably would have become an Inquisitor once the Empire arose. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, it's entirely possible, man. Krell was a freaking bastard. Rob says, can't go on to episode 3 without watching Clone Wars. You're right, man. Because when you watch episode 3 without watching Clone Wars, it's its own film. When you watch Clone Wars, then watch episode 3, that movie's an entirely different context. You know what, guys? Yeah, no, I think that's going to call it for the night. So, but yeah, no, you're completely right. That's something, if you guys have not done that, watch Clone Wars, watch episode 3 back to back. Absolutely awesome. So I need to sit down and watch them all again, though. Rob, I think I'm going to be doing that next weekend. Well, obviously not all the Clone Wars, but the films at least. So thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. I've had a lot of fun talking to you guys. It's been a great episode. We've gone for like an hour and 20 minutes, man. This is a great episode. Thank you guys so much for your input on everything we've talked about tonight. Hey guys, make sure to check out the Facebook page. It is facebook.com/Star Wars Canon Podcast. Make sure to check out the website, which is StarWarsCanonPodcast.com. You can find an audio version of this podcast there probably tomorrow morning. I'm going to have that up for Spotify and iTunes. Also, you guys can find us on there as well. So make sure to check out the Patreon account as well, patreon.com/Star Wars Canon Podcast, if you want to show some support. And, we've got after shows going there. I think tomorrow I'm going to sit down and do a couple episodes of after shows and get them up there for the patrons. So definitely head over there and check that out. I would sure appreciate it. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hang on here. I got to find something real quick, man. I'm bad with this stuff. I got to get back into this live streaming stuff. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next week, this is Brian signing off. And may the Force be with you.